Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have an absolutely huge election update here. 2024, some states changing, a historic situation when it comes to the current polling. Excuse me, I just had a Diet Dr. Pepper. You can see the election wizard with a breakdown. Minnesota and Virginia, Trump leads both states according to the decision desk, a 1.6% lead. A recent poll came in that had Trump up by about 4 points in Minnesota. It was a Republican pollster, but still, you do have Trump up slightly in Minnesota. It's a pure swing state. The Trump team has come out and said Trump himself has positioned Minnesota now as a swing state, and he wants to visit there, and he wants to win it. He tried in 2016. He almost did. He lost it in 2020, and here he comes in 2024. And then Virginia, the 2021 Glenn Youngkin win, really helping there. Virginia, possibly a swing state as well. Virginia, it's crazy with Virginia. In 2020, immediately once the polls closed, Virginia was called for Biden, like right away. Like it was an auto lock. So this is interesting stuff. I believe this also includes RFK and all the others. If Trump's only at 43.9, Biden's at 43.7. This, not that this is totally meaningless, but you're up by 1 point, you're up by 0.3, in June. It's interesting for sure. And the narrative has been created that we were talking about back in March. Can Virginia, can Minnesota be that next leg up for Trump? Now that he's got control of most of these swing states, obviously you do still have the unknown when it comes to the Rust Belt, but I'm just going to be going through some different videos that I bookmarked on X. I think this is kind of like a better thing to do, just kind of entertaining. Joe Biden gets mad at TikTok star during White House influencer party, threatens to throw his phone before aides intervene. So Biden, I guess they're having a little TikTok powwow there with a little influencer party. I thought they were going to maybe ban TikTok, but with the United States, everything takes 5 years to pass. And now you've got conservatives coming out and saying, no, we can't ban TikTok. They're saying it's not right. They could do it to anything. I think TikTok's a little bit different because it is a foreign company coming into the United States. It's not like an American made it. So I think they should be able to ban it, but we will see. This is just the same thing, decision desk with Trump leading in Virginia and Minnesota. Again, they were more Republican pollsters that put Trump up, but even normal pollsters are admitting that Virginia and Minnesota are a tie. Liberals have come out and said, we're treating Minnesota as a swing state. They still think they're going to win Virginia fairly easily, though. It'll be interesting. Biden's condition shocks allies at G7 summit, with one saying it's the worst he's ever been. And so the reason I wanted to talk about this really goes back to 2021, 2022, when Biden first came in office and liberals clutched their pearls and they were like, oh, but we finally have a president that's respected on the world stage. You go back to 2018, 2019, Trump giving that speech in front of all of those different countries and Germany laughing at him, the Germans laughing at him after he said that Germany relied 100% on Russian energy. And then, of course, Russia invades Ukraine and cuts off their main energy source. They laugh at him, and then it's like, oh, Trump's this big joke, and he ends up being right. And people are like, well, the liberals came out and tried to dunk on Trump when the Germans laughed at him, and now we've got this crap. They're the ones that brought this up. They said now America is respected, and you've got Biden on camera. He's pooped himself 3 or 4 times, and now he's just randomly walking at the summit, and we're supposed to believe that, oh yeah, now we have a person that actually represents us. Listen, it's almost like elderly abuse. You don't want to say anything. We all know what Biden is at this point. It's really bad. New general election poll out of Arizona. Trump up by 7, Rasmussen. That's a Republican pollster. Did they give the pollster a C- grade? Is that what that is? I would give Rasmussen probably like a D. I mean, it's just a Republican pollster. It's going to lean to the right for sure. You've got, this crystal ball ratings has finally been updated. So this is what I was talking about in my last political video. This system had not been updated since January 4th of this year. And all of these updates, I knew they would be pro-conservative. You can see Georgia goes from a toss-up to lean Republican. I agree with that. Trump's up by 3 or 4. Pennsylvania goes from lean Democrat to a toss-up. Absolutely, it is a toss-up. Maine, 2nd District, lean Republican to likely Republican. I would say that's safe Republican, the 2nd District in Maine. And you could also argue Maine, possibly the state as a whole, is a toss-up. Alaska, Iowa, Ohio, likely Republican to safe Republican. So Ohio now officially a safe Republican state. They don't have Florida as a safe Republican state yet. I think Texas should be safe at this point, especially with the sentiment with Biden, his approval rating, things like that. But those are positive changes there. This is another, I think this is a very fair forecast right now. So there are a lot of different publications and news sites coming out with their first official predictions. I guess this one, they've had it for a while. You can see, I'm just now seeing it like for the first time. Trump up to a 69% chance to win. I would say right now, Trump anywhere from 65 to 70% chance to win in the 2024 election based on what we're seeing right now, projecting forward as well. I give him about a 65% chance to 70. So to me, this is a very fair poll. Trump with 301 electoral votes. I don't have a problem with that. And you can see he's surging over Biden, at least recently. The next one you've got in October of 2020. Let's rewind. Joe Scarborough on people who believed the Hunter Biden laptop was real. Quote, history will expose you all as idiots and useful fools for the Russians. Yes, it has to be the Russians. I didn't even know that they kind of doubled down on the Russian narrative because remember, the Russian narrative started before Trump even came into office with a dossier that was released in December of like a month before Trump was the official president. He was the president-elect, and his campaign started, or his presidency started, with him mired in this scandal, and liberals all believing it was fake. CNN every day had something with the Russian stuff. Trump's an agent. Look at all the dossier that came out. Hillary Clinton saying Russia helped Trump. He's an illegitimate president. And then that finally gets cleared in 2018, 2019. Liberals just say, hey, sorry, let's move on. And then you've got Joe Scarborough coming out in 2020 and trying to use the Russia narrative, the Hunter Biden laptop story. It was the Russians, of course, and that's a lie again. So, you know what? In 2024, I think I know what the game plan is going to be. They're just going to say Trump's a Russian in general. They're going to say he has denounced his U.S. citizenship. He's officially a Russian, and he's buying a new mansion. He's putting up a Trump Tower in Moscow. That's going to be the next thing. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. And then look at this. Total U.S. deaths, 220K from the pandemic. This is what I was talking about when it came to the fear-mongering. There's no context to that. How many of those people had other, pre-existing conditions? How old are they? I'm sure 80 to 90% of them are above the age of 75. It's all fear-mongering. And all these young people are looking at this like 220,000 dead. That could be me. Well, no. If you're young, like under the age of 55, you had a 99% chance of survival. That's what I was saying back in 2020. But it's just like, that's just so ridiculous. It's just hysteria when you see something like that. This is big news. For the first time in 538 history, Trump favored to win the presidency. So I do not know if 538 had this system back in 2012 with Romney and Obama, but obviously I followed 2016 when I was younger, 2020, 2016, Hillary was up in everything. I think when it came to 538, I remember Nate Silver bragging that they were one of the only, publications that gave Trump a legitimate chance. They had him at like a 23% chance. I forgot, what was was it The Hill? No, it wasn't that. I forgot who it was, but somebody had Trump or Hillary at like a 98.1% chance to win. And to be fair, I mean, she was up in literally every poll in every swing state by a lot, but obviously the polls were wrong. And you could see in this Trump 51% chance. I don't think that's really accurate based on polling recently and also underlying metrics with Biden's approval rating, what people think in terms of different policies. And also when you look at the biggest issues, it's immigration. Biden's historically bad on immigration. It's economy. And so the false narrative with the stock market, it's all because of inflation that's propping up the economy. And it's become this liberal talking point to where they're like, the economy's so great. It just doesn't make any sense. No young person can afford a house. It's being propped up by inflation. Biden's inflation rate's about 22% since he took over. And then they cite the 3% inflation. That's a rolling average based on a year ago. The actual inflation number, and this is a lot more accurate, and people will agree with me on that, it's a 22% inflation rate since Biden took over. But you know what? According to these people, I mean, listen, I should be president in 2036, and all I'm going to do, I'm just going to like print $1 trillion and everyone can be a millionaire. Guys, I just figured it out. That's how we're going to solve it. Everyone's going to be a millionaire. That's why I'm going to win in 2036. Next, we've got the markets updating. You've got Trump at 55% chance, plus 22 over Biden, who's at 33. RFK sitting at just 2% chance. Michelle Obama at 4% chance. Kamala Harris at a 1% chance. So Michelle Obama still above Harris, even though she's the VP, just because there's no way. Guys, I just don't think they're going to be able to replace Biden because Harris is not a better option. I don't even think Newsom is a better option than Biden because at least Biden has the incumbent advantage. Now, maybe people will disagree. Newsom would obviously debate way better than Biden. He's a lot younger. He's got more spunk. But Biden still has that incumbent advantage, that the name recognition that I think they're going to roll with him. You've got swing states polling. Trump, about a 66% chance to win Georgia, 66% chance to win Nevada, 61% chance to win Arizona. Yeah, the markets still do like Biden very slightly in all the Rust Belt swing states. It's basically 50-50. Balance of power, president, Republican, 56% chance. Senate, Republican, 73% chance. House, basically 50-50. 41% chance of a Republican sweep and a 22% chance of a Democrat sweep. You do have Doug Burgum right now as the favorite, the slight favorite to be Trump's VP. I think it's either going to be Tim Scott or Ben Carson. Probably Tim Scott. From what I heard, you've also got J.D. Vance as another option. Rubio was also on the short list. I don't think it's going to happen, though, but we will see. And then we do have, oh yeah, so this was the Logan Paul interview. So Logan Paul interviews Trump. They call it a podcast or whatever, but Trump's done this several times now with younger influencers like Nelk and Logan Paul, where they'll come to the White House and it'll be like a 30 or 40-minute interview and they'll call it a podcast. This is what I heard, and this is what Rogan said when it comes to Trump going on Rogan. Rogan said Trump and his advisors wanted to do it, but they wanted him to go to the White House. And Rogan said, it's not going to happen. I'm not doing it because, to be honest, it just doesn't make sense. It would be weird. Rogan showing up to the White House in a suit, doing a 1-2 hour interview. Trump needs to go to Rogan, go to the studio. It'll make him more relatable. Do a 3-hour podcast. It'll help Trump. Not crazy or anything like that, but it would be cool to see Trump on Rogan for at least 3 hours. Alex Jones also needs to go back on Rogan as well. This is nothing to do with politics. I just liked that. This is a weird thing. So you've got the climate protesters, I guess protesting out of city against city, maybe the bank, and trying to keep some of these workers barreling under them, trying to get into their work. So very strange. I will say, it is very hot next week in my area, like in the northeast of the United States. We've got a heat dome coming in, but this is just all so ridiculous. It's just all an inconvenience, and it just doesn't help anyone. This is the first time, this is a very interesting tweet, the first time since 2004 that the Democratic candidate is down in presidential polls on a substantial basis, and yet it's been like 100% predictable, which Twitter personalities suddenly have a lot of questions about the polls. So yeah, Democrats are going to, say the polls are fake. Republicans said that in 2020 and 2016, but to be fair to Republicans, they kind of had a right to say it in 2020, considering how inaccurate they were in 2016. But yes, I'm sure liberals are very pissed off about the polling numbers. But that's remarkable. First time since 2004 where the Republican candidate has led. So, in the head-to-head aggregate, very, very interesting time for us here as we shift more conservative. We do have Joe Scarborough again coming out and saying that Biden performed well at the G7 despite cheap fakes and vicious lies, that he appeared lost and confused. Even critics were saying that he did a strong job, very good job representing the U.S. So these are just all DNC talking points. I think Morning Joe and all these MSNBC shows, they're just getting straight talking points. You look at Biden and it's just like, what are you talking about, man? Nobody believes this crap. When you look at MSNBC's viewership, it's 99% liberal. You're not convincing any independents anywhere to, move over to your side. And listen, it's not just MSNBC, it's also Fox News and CNN as well. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.